All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name's Nicole, and welcome back to our English class, specifically our conversational English classes. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend and a refreshing start to your Monday. Okay? I think most of you are here, if not all, most of you or some of you are here already. That's good. It's great to see you all here with us or with me in our class. For those who might be, um, for those who are here, that's good. Thank you for being here. So last week, if you are with me last week, we talked a lot about starting and maintaining or carrying small talk. Right? We learned some useful phrases for introducing ourselves. We learned asking light questions and showing interest in what others are saying. Remember those examples like asking about someone's day to start the conversation, or their hobbies, or maybe even the weather. Okay? Today, we're moving on to the final part of our small talk journey, how to end a conversation politely and smoothly. Okay? It might seem easy, no? It might seem easy, but knowing how to wrap things up gracefully and politely is a really important skill in conversational English. Okay? Especially under small talk. All right. Because if you want to think about it, you've had a nice chat with someone. Imagine that. You have had a nice chat with someone, but you can't talk forever, right? You might have other things to do, or maybe the conversation has naturally come to a close. Knowing how to signal that you need to leave without being abrupt or without being rude, seemed as rude, is a great skill. So here, as you can see on the screen, of course, our topic is on small talk ending. This is the first part. We will learn some useful phrases and strategies to help you end conversations in a polite and natural way. Now, before we dive into the phrases, of course, let's quickly talk about why it's important to end a small talk conversation well. Have any of you ever felt awkward trying to leave a conversation? Have any of you here? Like you are a bit hesitant to end the conversation because you don't know how to. It can feel a little strange, right? You don't want to just suddenly walk away. So, ending a conversation politely helps to maintain good relationships with the person that you are talking to. It shows respect for the person's time, and of course, it makes them feel that the conversation was pleasant, or even if it was short. So you can do that. You can think about it this way. If you have a great start and a good middle conversation, but the ending is really awkward, that's what the other person might remember most. And we don't want to risk that impression, especially if it is a first impression. So a smooth ending, it leaves a positive, lasting impression. Also, in different situations, like maybe let's say at a networking event or meeting someone new, as simple as that, ending the conversation well opens the door to for future interactions. If you are polite when you leave, they are more likely to want to talk to you again in the future. Okay? Are we getting that? All right. Sige. Let's have immediately the first phrase for the day. Okay? I don't know how many I have provided, but let's see how many phrases we can have for the whole hour. All right, let's see. Okay. This phrase is a powerful tool for ending conversations with a positive and friendly note. So this is under pleasantry, which is a polite and friendly expression. And it's a phrase you will hear or you may have heard and use a lot in English. The phrase is very simple. It was really nice talking to you. Again, it was really nice talking to you. Now let's look at why this phrase works so well. It is simple, but it is very effective. The first part is it was. Okay, let me highlight that one. This is the first part. This is full of positive, not positive, but it uses the past tense. Okay, the past tense of the verb is. Was is the past tense. Now, this tells the other person that the conversation is already finished and that it's in the past. Okay, it provides a clear signal that the interaction is really wrapping up. Then the second part, really nice. Okay, this one, second part of the phrase or of the sentence, really nice. This is full of friendly feeling, a positive one. It shows that you are sincere, or it shows sincerity. So you're not just ending the conversation, you are like letting them know that you genuinely enjoy the time you've spent with them, especially when it comes to talking with them. And finally, we have talking to you. Okay, let me highlight that one. Talking to you. It focuses on the positive feeling directly on the person you were just speaking with. So this makes them feel good about the interaction. And of course, it leaves them with a positive memory of your conversation. Okay? So the phrase can be used in so many different situations, from a very casual chat to a more formal one. Okay, let's imagine some scenarios together. Maybe you can think one scenario where we can use this one. Okay, let me put a text box for me to put the example. Let's say, okay, I'm gonna put it here, examples. Let's say first scenario or first situation. Let's think about a casual one. Maybe you can imagine yourself, let's say, you are at a local coffee shop there in your place. You are waiting in line and you start talking with a person behind you. So you chat about the weather, maybe about the coffee shop's new menu item. So the conversation is really easy, it is lighthearted with the person you are talking to. Now, you get to the front of the line. You place your order and your interaction is ending. So you can just, walk away. That would feel awkward, of course. Instead, you can turn to the person with a friendly smile and say this phrase. Let's say, well, it was really nice talking to you. Have a great day. You can add that. Okay? So this simple phrase, it signals that you are living. But it also says that I enjoyed our short chat and I am glad we had it. Okay? The person behind you will feel good about that interaction and so will you. Okay? All right, that's a casual example. A casual example that I provided. Let me just put it here. You are at a local coffee shop. At a local coffee shop. Okay? Another example, maybe. Still a casual example because, again, our focus on this series is on conversational English. And conversational English is a casual talk or a casual one. Okay? Another casual example. Maybe let's say one that student can relate. A student can relate. So let's say you are on your way to class and you bump into a classmate you haven't seen in a while. You spend a few minutes catching up, talking about your weekend or a project that you're both working on. Suddenly, you realize you're going to be late for your next class. You can say, oh, wow, look at the time. It was really nice talking to you. I've got to run to my next class. Something like that. Okay? You can add some few phrases before or after our phrase here, our sentence here. It was really nice talking to you. It depends, of course, on in the situation that you are in right now. So this shows them that your conversation was a good use of your time. It's not a waste of time, but you still need to be responsible and get to where you need to be because you'll be late. Okay? Second example is still a casual example. Let's just put it here. Student example. Okay? That the student can relate. Let's say, yes, these are the casual examples. Uh, let's look at a more formal or professional situation. Let's try to use also that. Still maybe with a school setting, at a school event, maybe let's say a university seminar, and you meet a professor you don't know, you have a short discussion about your academic interest with that professor. Okay? The conversation is polite and a bit more serious than a chat in the coffee shop. So when the conversation naturally comes to a close, you can still use this phrase that we have here. It was really nice talking to you. You might say, let's say, because you're asking for something to that particular professor, of course, you try to acknowledge their answer. You can say, first, thank you for the advice, professor. It was really nice talking to you. Okay? The phrase still works because it is polite and it is respectful. It is a respectful way to end the conversation or the interaction. It shows that you are really grateful, that you show your appreciation for their time and their input that they have given to you. So without being overly formal or stiff. So our third example here, it is a more formal one. Talking about professor. Chatting with professor. Okay, that's our third example. So it is really flexible and adaptable to many different settings, as you've noticed with this particular phrase. It was really nice talking to you. And because this phrase is so useful, it is also important to know how to add to it, and how to use similar phrases. Okay, for instance, you can use maybe as simple as it was nice talking to you. Okay, it was nice talking to you without really, or it was great talking to you. Really nice. You can also do that. You can also just say really nice. You can also just say great. Um, how do you call that? But of course, it is recommended, or it is suggested that you use this whole phrase, because it is not much as yeah, well, this is a casual conversation, but as much as possible, we try to really be using this particular phrase. Okay? All right. Here, the word really nice, or maybe nice itself, the word nice, we can try to change it to pleasure. No, the word pleasure is also a great alternative. Like, let me type it down here. Instead of saying it was really nice talking to you, you can say it was a pleasure talking to you. Alternative, it was a pleasure, sorry, talking to you. Okay. It was a pleasure talking to you. So let me highlight this. Using pleasure makes the phrase sound a little more formal. So you might use it with a professor, with a boss, or someone you have just met, especially in a professional setting. So all of these variations work well and mean basically the same thing. Okay? All right. Let's move on to our next phrase. Are we all good with this? It was really nice talking to you. It was really nice talking to you. Okay? All right. Next. Thanks for the chat. I really enjoyed it. As you've noticed, if you have observed, the phrases that will be provided later on, it would just be like of the same, how do you call that? Of the same idea, no pleasantry. So you might be saying that it looks the same because it sounds the same, and it looks the same, it means the same. This is just providing you with an alternative phrase that you can use when trying to end a conversation politely. Okay, so the second phrase is, or the second, let me just say, sentence, because this is a whole sentence, is thanks for the chat. I really enjoyed it. So this phrase is a bit more direct. It is a bit more personal than our last one, which is it was really nice talking to you. So it gets right to the point. It focuses on thanking the other person first and then adds a positive comment. So when you say this, you are not just being polite here, you're letting them know that the conversation was valuable to you, that it really helped you. So it's a very sincere and warm way to end things, and it works wonderfully with colleagues, maybe with clients, or anyone you meet in a professional setting. Okay, so let's try to break down why this is powerful, as I've mentioned. Now, the first part, thanks for the chat. Okay, this one, the one I highlighted, this is simple, but it is very important in this sentence. It starts with gratitude. It shows that you started your way of ending the talk with a gratitude. Thanks for the chat. So chat is a casual word for the conversation, right? So chat is a casual word for conversation, meaning that chat is equal to conversation. It's just that chat is a more or a less formal equivalence of conversation. Okay? All right. Now, so this phrase is perfect for informal small talk at the office or maybe at a social event. So you are, no, you're starting with thanks, and by starting with thanks, you immediately put the other person at ease and show that you appreciate the time they spent talking to you. So the second part, that's the first part. The second part is I really enjoyed it. Again, I really enjoyed it. That is the second part of the sentence. It adds layer to your sincerity in the conversation. It's not just a polite goodbye here. You are giving a genuine compliment to the other person. You are telling them that their company and that their words were a source of enjoyment for you. So, this is really a powerful way to leave a positive and lasting impression to the person that you are talking to, especially if the person is really a stranger. You're telling them that your time together was really not a waste, it was something that you liked. This makes people feel respected and valued, and they want that. Of course, they would want to. Okay, let's try to think of a maybe some few examples to check if this is really helpful in ending a conversation. Let me put it right here. Examples. Number one, first, let's try to imagine one example. We can use this one. How about you? Anything? Any examples that you can think of? Okay. Any any examples that you can think of? Maybe let's say at a networking event. Okay. This is a great place to use this phrase. You've been talking to a new professional contact, maybe someone who works in a different company or a different industry. So you've exchanged information and discussed some common interests. Now you see another person you need to speak with. It would feel rude to just walk away. So instead, you can use this phrase to smoothly transition out of the conversation. Okay? You might say, well, it was really interesting to hear about your company's new project. Thanks for the chat. I really enjoyed it. You can then add something like, I'm going to go say hello to someone else, but let's connect on where do you want to connect? Maybe LinkedIn and other things or other way to connect with them. This is a professional and friendly way to end the conversation and, of course, move on to that conversation. Another scenario I've provided at a networking event. Another event or another scenario. Scenario that is more common, in a casual setting. Can you think of one? I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to think. Time starts now. Okay. All right. Let me just give you the situation. Let's say in a more casual setting, maybe still in the office, but you are not talking to someone that you need to be professional with it. You could just say maybe you are at the office pantry or you are at the break room. You've been talking with a colleague from a different department while you both wait for your coffee. So you've talked about a popular new movie or maybe your weekend plans. So the conversation has been really pleasant, but you need to get back to your desk to continue with your work. So as you get your coffee, you can just say, "Well, my coffee is ready. Thanks for the chat. I really enjoyed it." No, I should probably get back to my desk now. Something like that. So this is a perfect example of how the phrase helps you end the conversation naturally without any awkwardness. You're giving a polite reason for leaving, and you're also telling your colleague that you valued the quick break you have shared together. Okay? All right. So we can use this phrase. I'm sorry. We can use this phrase in maybe semi formal situations like a business lunch or a professional workshop. Like, if, for example, or for instance, you are at a company dinner and you've been sitting next to a new manager for another team. So you've talked about work, you've talked about hobbies and such things. And maybe even your families, you've talked about that. As the dinner is ending and people are staring to get up and mingle, you can use this phrase. You might say, "It was great learning about your team's project. Thanks for the chat. I really enjoyed it. I hope we can talk again soon." So the phrase shows appreciation, and of course, it also opens the door for future interactions, which is very important in the workplace. Okay? All right. Are we following so far? Any questions that you might want me to address? Again, I've provided here. What's the second situation I have provided? More common one, casual at an office pantry. At an office pantry. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the next phrase. Glad we got to talk. Again, glad we got to talk. So far we've covered two fantastic phrases already. And this time we have the third phrase. Glad we got to talk. So this phrase, it is a wonderful way to end an unexpected conversation, maybe. No, it shows that you are genuinely happy that you had the chance to speak with the other person. You can use it when you like bump into a colleague you don't really often see, or when you unexpectedly run into an old friend or a former boss. It is warm, it is sincere, and it leaves a very positive impression. It gives a feeling of I didn't plan on talking to you today, but I'm so happy that we did. You are trying to tell that to the other person. So let's try to break this phrase down. The word glad, let me highlight it for you for a moment. Now, the word glad, it is very important here. It means happy, right? Am I correct? Okay. So you are literally saying, I am happy that we had a chance to talk. The phrase got to, okay, got to, it implies that it was fortunate or it is a special opportunity. It was just a regular meeting. It was a pleasant and planned event. So this makes the other person feel valued and makes the conversation feel more meaningful no matter how short it was. Let's look at some detailed real world examples that you might encounter in your daily lives as working adults. First, maybe you can imagine, like, let me put it here, some examples that you might have already experienced. Examples. First, you can imagine still you are at the office, buildings, maybe coffee shop, still with the coffee shop. I really like coffee shops. So here you are grabbing a cup of coffee and you see a colleague from a different floor. Sorry. You see a colleague from different floor or a different department, so you've seen them before, but you've never really had a chance to speak to them. Okay, you start a short conversation about your projects, or maybe just you're just talking about your weekend. So as you both get your coffee, you can end the conversation by saying, "Well, I need to get back upstairs. Glad we got to talk." Okay, something like that. Now, this phrase is really good. It's perfect because you weren't expecting to have this conversation, but you are happy that it happened. It makes the other person feel like you valued that small unplanned moment of conversation or connection. Okay, another example. Let's say a more common, or not common, a more professional one. You imagine yourself, you are at a large professional conference or a company wide event. You are walking through a crowded room and you spot a former colleague who you haven't seen in years. Okay? You spot them. You go over and catch up for a few minutes. Okay? You're talking about your new jobs and your families. So, as the conversation winds down, you need to go to the next session. You can say, "It was so great to see you again after all this time. Glad we get to talk. I hope we can grab a coffee soon." Something like that. So, in this case, the phrase "glad we got to talk" perfectly captures the feeling of a happy reunion. It's much more personal and sincere than simple saying goodbye. Okay? All right. Again, our conversations I provided still at the coffee shop for a moment. The second one is um unexpected reunion with a friend or with a classmate. Okay? All right. That's our third phrase. Let's move on to the next. Sorry for that. Next, "it was great meeting you." Very simple. Again, "it was great meeting you." Okay? All right. Now, this phrase is so important because it signals a key moment. So when you say this phrase, you are acknowledging that this is the beginning of a potential new relationship, whether it is professional, whether it is personal. It is the perfect way to end a first time conversation on a high note. No, saying it was great meeting you tells the other person that you are happy you crossed paths and that you enjoyed the initial interactions. It seems to leave them feeling good about you and about the encounter. Let's try to break down the phrase. "It was great." Let's start with that. It was great. Okay? This is a strong positive statement. It says that you are genuinely happy about this encounter. So the key part here is meeting you. The other part, okay? Meeting you. This is what makes the phrase specific to a first encounter. You are not just saying you enjoy the chat or talking to them, you're specifically happy about the act of meeting them. It feels more significant and more respectful. So you use this phrase. It shows that you know the difference between talking to someone you already know and meeting someone for the very first time. Okay? All right. Let's try to imagine some examples. Do you have one example for this? Okay. Okay. Let's say you're attending a professional workshop or training session. You don't know anyone in the room. So during a break, you start talking to the person sitting next to you. You learn about their background, and you learn about their reason for attending the workshop. So when the break is over, you need to return to your seats, of course. You can end the conversation by saying, "The break is almost over. It was great meeting you. I'll see you back in the room." Okay? Something like that. Sorry for that. So this phrase, it is really a good one for that situation. It acknowledges that you are a new connection, and it leaves a positive feeling as you go your separate ways. Okay? So this phrase is also great for interviews. When you finish your interview and are about to leave, you can use a slightly more formal version of this phrase. It shows that you are polite, you are professional, and that you respect the interviewer's time. You might say, "Thank you for the opportunity um, to interview for this, to be interviewed for this position. It was a pleasure to meeting you." Okay? Using pleasure here makes the phrase a bit more formal, which is, a great alternative for a serious situation like an interview. So it shows that you are a serious and professional candidate. Now, the beauty of "it was great meeting you" is that it can also be used in a personal setting. For instance, you can imagine introducing a new colleague to your friends. Your friend and your colleague talk for a few minutes and get along well. As they are about to leave, your friend can turn to your colleague and say, "It was great meeting you." Again, "it was great meeting you. I hope to see you again soon." This phrase is perfect because it acknowledges that this is their first time meeting and that they enjoyed it. Okay? Just like our phrases, you can combine "it was great meeting you" with other phrases to make it even more natural. You can add a reason for leaving or a wish for the future. Okay? First, maybe you can combine it with the reason. Yeah, you can say, "It was great meeting you. I need to go get a drink, but I'll see you around." That's combining it with reason. You can also combine it with a well wish. Like, "It was great meeting you. Have a great night." Something like that. Or combine it with future action. "It was great meeting you. Let's connect on LinkedIn or other platforms." Okay? These combinations make the phrase sound more natural and less like a memorized line. They help you transition smoothly from the conversation to your next activity. Okay? All right. Now let's try some practice in. I want you to, maybe if you want to, I want you to pair up with someone with you there in your own comfortable space. If none, you can just say it you can just have yourself. No, we're going to do some role playing exercise that focus on using "it was great meeting you" correctly. So remember, the key is that these are the first time meetings. For example, let's have the scenario one. You are two professionals attending a local business convention. You have just been introduced by a mutual friend, talk for a few minutes and about your businesses, and then practice ending the conversation with a phrase. Okay? "It was great meeting you." Okay. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to practice that, or maybe 1 minute. Okay? 1 minute. Let me see the time. Okay. Your time starts now. All right, time's up. Have you practiced it well with someone? Or if not with someone, have you practiced it well with you? Okay? All right. That's good. This is again, "it was great meeting you." Remember, the goal for this phrase is to feel natural to you. So pay attention to the situations where you meet someone for the first time and you try to remember to use this phrase. Okay? It makes a huge difference in how people remember you. Okay. All right, let's bring it back together. How did that practice feel? Did you notice how this phrase is different from the others? Or is it specific and powerful because it's for first impressions? It's for first impressions. Remember, it was great meeting you. This phrase, it is a wonderful tool for making a positive first impression and ending a conversation on a high note, okay? Okay. All right. Next phrase. I really enjoyed our conversation. Now, this phrase, it is a perfect way to end a conversation that was particularly interesting, particularly detailed, or particularly meaningful. It is a phrase that goes beyond simple politeness. When you use this phrase, you are giving a genuine compliment to the other person. You're telling them that the time you spent talking to them was not just okay, it was something you genuinely liked. No, this makes the other person feel valued and feel respected, and it leaves a strong positive impression to them. Let's break down why this phrase is so effective. Okay? Now, the word really in this conversation, all right, for a moment. Sorry for that. Again, the word really, it adds emphasis here. It shows sincerity and genuine feeling. It's the difference between saying I enjoyed our conversation and I really enjoyed our conversation. There is a difference to that. The word our is also very important here. It emphasizes that this was a two-way interaction. It was a shared experience that both of you were a part of. So this makes the phrase feel very inclusive and friendly. Okay, let's imagine some detailed real world examples that you might encounter in your daily, professional, and personal life. First, let's imagine you're having a business lunch with a client or a potential business partner. You've been talking about work, but you've also gotten into a deeper conversation about your experiences or life outside of work. So the conversation has been particularly engaging. As the lunch ends, you can say, that was a great discussion. I really enjoyed our conversation. So this phrase is perfect here because it acknowledges the quality of the talk. It is a nice personal touch that can strengthen a professional relationship. So it shows that you value the other person not just for business but for who they are. Okay? Another example. Let's say you are attending a training seminar and you have had a chance to talk to one of the speakers or experts during the break. So you feel like you earned a lot. You ask them a question about the presentation and they give you a detailed and helpful answer. So you want to be thankful for that. You want to show your appreciation. As you go back or as you have to go back to your seat, you can say, thank you for that. I really enjoyed our conversation. Now, this phrase, it is a great way to show that you are grateful for their time and their knowledge. It is polite and, of course, it is respectful. So this phrase can be used in personal situations. For instance, it can also be used to that. Maybe, let's say, imagine you are at a family gathering or at a reunion, no, with friends. You sit down with a family member you haven't seen in a long time, let's say, and then maybe for a moment. Okay. Because, let me see. Okay, that's good. Can you see the slide now? I think you can. All right. Let me go back to where I am talking about. It's you are with you are at a family event, right? Family gathering, family reunion. Now you talked with a family member you haven't seen in a long time and have a long talk about your lives. Now the conversation is deep and meaningful. So when you have to leave, you can use this phrase. You might say, it was good to catch up with you. I really enjoyed our conversation. This shows a level of closeness and a level of sincerity that other phrases might not capture. And just like our phrases here, you can combine I really enjoyed our conversation with other phrases to make it even more natural and to signal that you are living. Okay? For example, you can combine it with the reason for leaving. You say, I really enjoyed our conversation, but I have to go now to my next meeting. Or combine it with well wish. I really enjoyed our conversation. Have a wonderful day. Or maybe combine it with future action. I really enjoyed our conversation. Let's talk again soon about that. Okay? All right. So these combinations make the phrase more natural and less like a memorized one. They help you transition smoothly from the conversation for your next activity. Okay? All right. That's our how that's our fifth phrase of the day. So far, we've talked about it was really nice talking to you. Thanks for the chat. I really enjoyed it. Glad we got to talk. It was great meeting you, and I really enjoyed our conversation. Let's move on to the next. Let's grab lunch sometime. Let's grab dinner sometime. Okay? That's our next phrase. This is a very common phrase that you will hear and use in a professional and social setting, but it is a very important nuance. It can be a genuine offer to meet again, or it can be a simple, polite way to say goodbye without actually meaning to make a plan. Like understanding the difference is really key. It is a key. So when the offer is genuine, it's a real invitation. Of course, you actually want to sit down and have a meal or a coffee with this person next time. This usually happens when you find a strong connection with someone. Maybe a connection that is shared, especially when it comes to sharing professional interest or not professional but a common hobby. So when it's just a polite pleasantry, you are simply being friendly. Like you have no real intention to make plans, but you want to end the conversation in a warm and positive way. Let's break down why this phrase works. Let's grab. It's a very casual and friendly way of saying let's go get. Using lunch or dinner is a very common and relatable activity. It is an easy way to suggest a meeting outside of the current environment. The word sometime is what makes it so flexible. It is a very general term that does not commit you to a specific time, a specific day. And it's what makes the phrase work as both a genuine offer and a polite pleasantry. Okay? Let's try to imagine a situation. Maybe let's look at a genuine offer. Okay? Imagine you are at a networking event and then you start talking with a new contact and you find out that you both work on a similar type of project. Maybe you realize you can learn a lot from each other. As the event is ending, you can say, this has been a really great chat about our work. We should continue this sometime. Let's grab some lunch. Um, what do you call it? Again, you are meaning let's grab lunch next week, something like that. This is a real invitation because you've found a good reason to continue the conversation. The phrase shows genuine interest in connecting again, and you can follow up with a specific plan later. Okay, let's look at another example where it is a polite pleasantry. Still at a company party, maybe, or a team building event, you've been talking to a colleague from a different department who you don't know very well. Now, the conversation is friendly, but there's no real reason for you to meet again. When you are ready to move on, you can say, "Well, I'm going to get another drink. It was great talking to you. Okay, let's grab a coffee sometime." Now, in this case, you don't actually plan to schedule a coffee meeting, but you are being friendly. The phrase is a warm way to end the conversation without being rude. So, the phrase or the person you are talking to will understand that you are just being polite. It is a very common social practice. Okay? That is a genuine offer. All right. Okay. Let's have the next phrase. I'll talk to you later. Very simple. Right? Okay. Now, this is one of the most common ways to end a conversation in English. It is a phrase you use when you know you will see or communicate with the person again in the future. You're sure. It works perfectly with friends, with family, and with colleagues you see every day. So it's not a phrase for first impressions or people you don't know well. You would never say this to a new client you just met. So it's for the people who have an existing, a comfortable relationship with others. Okay, let's break down why this phrase works so well. It's a simple statement of fact. I'll talk to you later. It is a future promise of communication. It does not mean you will talk to a specific time, but it signals the other person that this is not a final goodbye. It means our conversation is over for now, but we will speak again. Okay? The word later, it's very flexible. It could mean later today or later this week or just at some undefined time in the future. So this flexibility is what makes it so useful. Okay? All right. Let's try to imagine a conversation, maybe a common office scenario. So you are at the coffee machine and you have a quick chat with a colleague from your team. You talked about a project or a company announcement. So as you both get ready and get your coffee, uh, you're ready to go back to your desks, you can say, all right, I'll talk to you again later. I'll talk to you later. So this is the perfect phrase for this situation. You know you will see this person again, probably within the hours. It feels natural and comfortable. It's a short and easy way to say goodbye without being awkward. Okay. All right, another example, this time on the phone. This phrase is used all the time at the end of phone calls. Let's say you are on the phone with a colleague from another office. Maybe at some places, other places, you have finished discussing the details of a project, and as the conversation is wrapping up, you can say, "Okay, that's everything. I'll talk to you later," something like that. Okay? This is a natural, friendly way to end the call, and it implies that you will be in touch again soon. It's much more common than saying goodbye on its own. Okay? All right. Let's have the next phrase. Okay? I'll get up with you later. Again, I'll get up with you later. Now, this is an idiom, which is a phrase where the meaning is not obvious from the individual words alone. In this case, get up with does not mean to physically stand up and go to someone. It means to connect with. Okay? To connect with, or to check in with, or to follow up with. It's a casual and friendly way to say you will contact the person again to continue a conversation or discuss a specific topic. Okay? I'll get up with you later, or is similar to I'll talk to you later. But it often implies a more specific purpose. You might use it when you have a particular reason to connect again. Okay, like a specific task or a piece of information, maybe you need to share. It's a very conversational and informal phrase. Okay, it's not something you would use with a new client or in a very formal business meeting, but with a coworker you know well or a friend. It works perfectly. Okay, all right. Maybe you can imagine a very common office scenario. What scenario do you think? Do you have one? Do you have an example? Okay, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to think of an example. Oh no. All right, time's up. Time's up, everyone. Any situation or any, what do you call that? Any example? Okay. All right, let me just give you an example. a personal situation that you are in. You can maybe you are at the local supermarket and you run into a close friend you haven't seen in a few weeks. Now you start chatting, but you are both in a hurry. You have a lot to talk about, but not enough time. So you can say, "It was so great to see you. We have so much to catch up on. I'll get up with you later this week to talk more." So this is a warm and friendly way to promise to continue the conversation at a later time or more convenient time. It shows that you value the person and that you genuinely want to connect with them later. Okay? All right. Okay, you can use this phrase also. It's good. Maybe you are, let's say, imagine you are you are two colleagues at work. You're having a quick chat in the break room, but one of you has to go to a meeting. So practice ending the conversation by promising to talk later about a specific event. Okay, another example: you and a close friend are at a social event. You start talking, but you both have other people you need to go talk to. So practice ending the chat by promising to talk later. Okay. All right. Now, everyone, remember the goal is for this phrase to feel natural to you. So pay attention to the situations where it works best. All right, let's bring it back together. How did the practice feel? Did you notice how this phrase is a bit different from "I'll talk to you later"? It often feels a bit more purposeful. What do you think? For a moment. All right, what do you think? Okay, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Let's move on to our next phrase. Very simple. Hit me up later. Now, this is an example of slang, which is very informal language used by a particular group of people. In this case, hit me up means to contact me. It's a direct, simple, and very friendly way to say call me, text me, or send me a message. It is a modern casual phrase that's very common in conversations and especially in text messages. Okay? Hit me up later. It is a direct invitation for the other person to initiate a contact. Okay? So this phrase, it is often used when maybe you are busy right now or when you want the other person to follow up with you. It's the kind of phrase that shows a relaxed and comfortable relationship with that person. You don't need to be formal or polite because you are friends with that person. Okay? Let's try to imagine some situations. What do you think? Do you have any situations in mind you can use this particular phrase? Maybe you can imagine yourself not just by face to face. Imagine talking or you're texting a friend, and they say if you are free on Saturday, you're busy at the moment and can check your schedule. You can text them. I'm busy right now, but I'll check my schedule when I get home. Hit me up later, something like that. Okay, this is a very common and natural way to communicate in text messages. It is much faster and easier than typing a more formal sentence. Okay? I think everything's good. All right. Okay? All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to another. This is our last phrase of the day. Okay? This is actually a sentence because it looks too long. Let's continue the conversation over dinner sometime. Okay? This is a very specific and intentional way to end a conversation. It's not a casual phrase you would use with just anyone. You would use this with a professional contact, a potential business partner, or a manager. It shows that you are serious about the topic you were just discussing and that you are willing to invest time to continue it. It is a phrase that signals that the conversation was just the beginning of a larger, more important discussion. Okay? All right, let's try to break down why this phrase is so powerful. Now, the words continue the conversation. Okay, it was really not mentioned there, but let's just say that one, continue the conversation. This is a key here. This tells the other person that you believe what you were talking about is important and that you haven't finished saying everything that needs to be said. So this is a different from just, from just saying let's grab dinner sometime, which is more general. Let's continue to the conversation is a professional signal that says what we are talking about matters and we need to finish this properly. Okay? By adding over dinner, you are suggesting a dedicated time and place for this serious discussion, away from the distractions of the office for a busy event. Okay? All right. Do you have any other examples? I can give you 30 seconds to think and type one. Time starts. Let me check. Time starts now. All right. Thank you so much for that. Let's have the different, no, just like our phrases, you can combine this phrase with other phrases to make it even more natural. You can add a reason for leaving or a clear next step to make the invitation more serious. For example, let's have you try to combine it with a specific plan. Let's continue the conversation over dinner sometime. I'll get in touch with you about my schedule. Okay? All right. You can do that. You can also combine it with pleasantry. It was pleasure talking with you. Let's continue the conversation over dinner sometime. Or it could be combined with well wish. Like thank you for your insights. I'll be in touch. Let's continue the conversation over dinner sometime. So these combinations make the phrase sound more professional and sincere. Okay. So remember, this is a very serious situation or invitation. When you use this phrase, you should genuinely be prepared to follow through and continue to the next conversation. Okay? All right. For a moment, let me check. I guess everything's good. Is it? Okay. All right. There's plenty of scenarios you can use this. First is you're talking with a potential client at a company event. You've discussed a project proposal, but you need to get into more detail. So practice ending the chat by inviting them to continue the discussion later. Okay? All right. Scenario 2, you are at a company meeting and you have a quick chat with a senior manager about a new idea you have. Now you need to leave, but you want to continue the discussion later. Practice ending the conversation smoothly. Okay, everyone, practice that. And lastly, you meet a new business partner at a networking event. You talk about a potential partnership, and you talked about like you have been a lot. Okay, all right. So remember, the goal here is to use this phrase to feel natural to you. That's why there's a really sized something like that. Okay, you can imagine yourself Jungwon. Okay, something like that. Now we've covered so much today. That's the last phrase, everyone. We have covered so much today. We'll learn 10 different ways to end a conversation, each with its own specific purpose and content. Okay? All right. Remember, the key to using this phrase correctly is to understand you. Okay? All right. Because I'm gonna count these off again. All right. So this is our last. I was really shaking at the time, but anyway, this is the last time I got lost. I lost it. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, everyone. I remember the key to using these phrases correctly is to understand your relationship with the other person and the situation you are in. So it's not about memorizing words. It's not about understanding the feeling behind them. The more you practice, the more natural they will become. Thank you all so much for your active participation today. I hope you have had some great tools to help with your conversation. Okay? All right. All right, that's good. Okay? Thank you all so much for your active participation today. I hope you've learned some, some things, some goals in life. You can learn that. Okay? Thank you so much for that. Um I hope you will have a great weekday, another week. This is Monday. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Okay? All right. And that is the end of our small talk ending first part. Okay? That is that. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with me. Okay. Um, yes, there are four actually, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to communication words. That is small talk ending number two. Let me check. Okay? That's how you do it. Any questions before we proceed or we end this conversation? Any questions that I can address if you want to? None? All right. Thank you once again everyone. Have a great rest of the night ahead. Goodbye.